Hi everybody and big welcome to cEDH TV gameplay. This time me, Pontus and Rhetoric, joined by Snuske.
Yo.
Almost becoming like part of the show. Or the part of the interior of the structure maybe.
Involuntary, but yes.
So this time I'm playing Sisay Necro. So we have both Necrodominance and Necropotence inside the list. We can find Necrodominance with our commander, but we can also win the typical normal way with Dockside Extortionist and Immediately Blessed, or sometimes even with this, locking out everyone from basically searching or drawing cards for the rest of the game. Sisay combined with some Necro Grixis stuff, kinda.
I'm back on Flamplebird, the big dude with the crotch cam. I haven't updated my own list, so I took a recent tournament list and made a few changes. This is apparently what someone at least has been running to a reasonable amount of success. So I'll try out this version. I haven't really done a lot of the storming off with non-creature stuff when I built the deck. The deck does not have All Will Be One at the moment. I did just take that out 5 minutes ago and swapped it out for a land. Want to try it without all will be one. I think it's fine without it.
So this deck won a recent tournament that I held in my own home that I played by myself. So I'm really happy with the result. And yeah, it's Teamer Bro Storm, basically. We, meaning me. I have not played this deck in a while, but it's one of my favorites to play. And it's summer, so let's just go back to things that make us happy.
I'm also going back to an old classic with Tymna dargo. I have some spice includes I'm trying out, such as a land called Arena of Glory, I think. Arena something. That gives creatures haste, which might be cute with the welders and engineers and stuff. But in general, it's just the same old base package. Some includes going in and out. Cathartic Nightmares, something I'm testing currently. But yeah, this is good old Modern Turbo. So this first 7 has no mana, so we cannot keep it. Pretty simple. This hand is interesting here. We have one of my favorite things, which isn't that good, but I just like doing it with the Survey land going first. Or not going first, as the first land, just doing nothing, because that kind of looks like you're not doing anything, even though you are. The big problem with this hand is that it's really good if Dockside is good. If we look at the pod, we have Tymna, we have Omnixlis, and we have Sisay. Both Tymna and Sisay, especially with these players in mind, they usually go land Dork Pass. Of course they can do more, they can do less. We're going first, so we only have people's turn 1 to hope on. So we're basically hoping that probably Snuske plays 2 artifacts or enchantments, and one of the other plays at least 1. I think that's likely enough that I'm just going to keep this, because as long as Dockside makes 3, we can just go Dockside, sack 3 float of mana, cast Dargo, cast Mox Amber, cast Altar of the Wretched. We're probably not winning the same turn, but that's fine. That's still enough value to be just a good play. So I am keeping that, but I am very aware that Dockside might be too weak here. And if Dockside is bad, this is a kind of awkward hand that just doesn't do a lot. So yeah, let's see if Dockside does anything, or if this hand just folds on its own. It can also just be a turn 3 Dockside, which probably just works as well, so it's not all that bad. But yeah, keeping second 7, see how this turns out.
We have no lands in this hand, so we'll be pitching. Bye! This one's like slightly better. We have Mystical Tutor, which we could use to fetch up something. I don't know. We don't really have any rituals other than Seething Song, and that's turn 3. That is not going to bode well for 2 to 3 potentially turbo-y decks, so gotta go to 6. Let's do it. All right, so we are at our third hand, and we have a Gaia's Cradle as a land. Interesting. All these cards look great, but there's nothing to do except peel off the top and hope that we get something. So I guess we go to 5. We have to pitch 2. I'm going to keep this hand. I have a great mana rock. I have Training Grounds for once we get Thrasios online. So that may help us kind of recover a little bit lands and other things that we could be missing, or card draw, stuff like that. Great Oak Guardian is an amazing piece with Alena. Now, the problem is, though, Training Ground is, you know, a great piece, and so is Great Oak. I think I'm tempted to throw away Temur Sabertooth and Great Oak Guardian, because they're higher in mana, and we need my Break Trap for a piece of interaction later on. So I'm going to go ahead and bottom those 2. That's my instinct, just because we need the card draw with Training Grounds. At the same time, though, when I think about this, we get a really great untap from 2. I could throw away just, yeah, I need to be, basically I just need to be able to cast Thrasios, or I need to be able to do something. So yeah, we're going to risk it. We're going to go ahead and throw away these 2 pieces and just go for value.
Hand that at least gets Omnixlis out fast. Not fast. I don't know if this is fast enough. It doesn't do much other than having a walking ballista and then a turn. No, this is way too slow. The Mox Amber doesn't actually do anything. Yeah, the Mox Opal and the Mox Amber won't be able to be turned online. We can get the gemstone out, get rid of one of the lands, play another land, but then we would have to play everything along with a walking ballista for 2, but then we're not really taking advantage of the walking ballista. We need it to be able to turn on the Mox Opal for a turn 2 up Nixilis. I think we're just gonna ship this. With this being a first 7, I think we can look at more cards here. We got some of the good enablers in the Parasite and the Disciple of the Vault, but still need more ways to get stuff going. The Disciple is something that's really good against something like the Dargo Tymna deck. It's looking to make a bunch of treasures. You won't be able to go infinite in with some of those lines at least. Keradak Parasite is good if Thrasios goes off fast. Can't really draw his deck without dying. Likely it won't matter because we still need a red permanent in play for that. So I think I'm just good to go to 6 here. This is much better. Pretty reliably bottom the Bolus Citadel here. And then we have a decent turn 1 where we can put down up Nixilis. As long as one of our opponents puts down a land that taps for either blue or black. We won't be able to follow up with Ragavan or Keradak Parasite, but we will be able to follow up with one of them on turn 2. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this hand as a 6.
This hand is not that great, but it's also not that terrible either. We have a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, and with that we should have a turn 2 Lofo, as well as a land or elf, maybe. Big maybe on that one. But otherwise we have a Bloom Tender turn 2. I should probably mulligan towards something better than Lofo, but Lofo is not bad. This is definitely a hand you can mulligan early in the game. However, Bloom Tender is also quite strong. With Bloom Tender, Deathrite Shaman, Lofo, it will tap for 3 mana, and that will get going quite fast. That means that we can, with Lofo and Sisay, find Revi and potentially try to win pseudo early. So we do have some kinda combo potential with Bloom Tender. Bloom Tender is a 1-card combo inside Sisay, and Lofo can help us set that up with accumulating a lot of mana. So in the end I'm going to keep this hand. It could be very sad if no one actually cracked a fetch land, but that's usually going to happen. So let's start the match.
I'll start us off by drawing a card. Land for turn will be a Rock's Theatre tapped, and I will surveil. This card will stay on top, and I will pass turn.
Take my turn. Draw a card. We will then do a Scalding Tarn, pay life, and fetch. We'll go for the Volcanic Island, and then I will tap the Volcanic Islands for Mana Ball. Sweet. And with that, I pass my turn.
Sick. I will draw a card. I will play this City of Traders as my land for turn. I will tap it for a Soul Ring. I have 1 mana floating. I will tap this Soul Ring, play a Felwar Stone. Still 1 mana floating. I will cast this Jeweled Lotus. I still have 1 colorless mana floating. I will cast up Nixilis. I have 1 colorless mana floating. And I will pass my turn with 1 colorless mana floating.
So funny. I will draw a card. Bayou. Tap Bayou. Here's a Deathrite Shaman, and I pass.
Go to my turn. Land for turn will be with Futils. So here, exactly what we thought was going to happen, or was counted on happened, where Snitsky played 2 artifacts or enchantments, and one of Mons or Rhetoric played 1. So here we can cast Dockside, cast Mox Amber, we got a Chromox, we have 1 mana left posts Altar of the Wretched. But what we also drew was this Grand Abolisher. So what I'm rather leaning on doing now is to cast this Chromox and casting Tymna, to next turn go Mox Amber, hopefully drawing a land with draw for turn plus Tymna. And then Grand Abolisher, Dockside, Altar. We would get rid of Final Fortune, which would be even stronger if you could go Grand Abolisher plus Final Fortune next turn. But I think that's like enough extra good to be worth it. So I think that's just a better play overall. Fetching my Wood Foothills, stringing of Nixilis.
Sick. Exile a Reckless Fireweaver.
Finding a plateau. Then I'll cast a Chromox. Imprinting a Final Fortune. And then tap 3 to cast a Tymna. And with that, I'll pass the turn.
Untap, draw a card. Land for turn is a Breeding Pool. I'll take the damage. I will tap everything, including Mana Vaults, cast Alena. I'm gonna pass from there.
Alrighty, let's draw for turn. That's not a bad card. I'll float 2 here and play Mount Doom. 2 colorless floating. Oh, I forgot to put a counter on this guy. We'll use one of the colorless and tap this Felwar Stone for a red to cast a Reckless Fireweaver from exile. And then I'm going to tap this Soul Ring and I'm gonna end up floating 1 colorless mana to cast this Grinding Station. When this enters, the Reckless Fire we will trigger and deal 1 damage to each of my opponents, which will trigger up Nixilis for 1. And I will exile a Simian Spirit Guide. It's a pretty bad card to exile, honestly. Pay 1 life to tap Mount Doom for a black mana, and cast a Ceradak Parasite.
I'm gonna be responsible and mental misstep your Mystic Remora, or your black Mystic Remora version here. Paying 2 life.
Fine, I'll let it be countered. Pass my... Will I pass? Hold on. No, I'll move to combat. I know Mons is on his whole Necro Dominance arc, but Pontus also kept a second 7 with turn 2 Tymna, and I just added to the dog side count. So I think we're just in case some weird shit happens over there. We're gonna swing 6 at Mr. Pontus.
No blocks, take 6.
My 1 colorless mana has floated away. I will pass my turn, putting the Simian Spirit Guide in permanent exile.
My turn, draw a card. I'm gonna play this Darkwater Catacombs. I'm gonna tap this Deathrite Shaman and exile one of your lands, the Scalding Tarn Rhetoric, from your graveyard and add a white mana. Then tap this for a black mana. It is highly advisable to not do this into an Obnixilis, but I want to have some value. But this is going to feed Obnixilis. Kinda bad, but well, it's also going to give me some mana. So sure, I'm group hugging Snusky here, but I need to accumulate some power still. And it's a good card. I think it's going to accumulate a few treasures here and there. But there's absolutely a big reason to not do this. But I'm doing it anyway. I feel brave. That flample bird is just gonna fly my way and punch me in the face. Regardless, I pass the turn.
Go to my turn. I will actually play it safe and start by casting a Moxamber. I'll tap the Moxamber together with the Plateau to cast a Grand Abolisher, triggering Lotho.
When Mons takes a damage from Lotho, Obnixilis will trigger and I will exile a Diabolic Intent.
Abolisher resolves. I will move to combat and see how Mons feels. Swinging at him that Mons.
This is so annoying. I really want to keep my Lofo, but you putting a Grand Abolisher in play, attacking me, means that maybe he doesn't have it.
I do have it, I just want one more card.
But one more card. The very responsible thing here to do is block because of this Grand Abolisher, I guess. Definitely reducing his potential. Yeah, we're blocking. Yeah, we're blocking. We can trade.
Post-combat Mayface, I'll do the very called play and cast the Dockside.
I guess I will be sacrificing my treasure. I am very responsible
Mons.
here. You are correct. Yeah, I cannot sacrifice my treasure. You get one more.
Dockside to be, and I will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 treasures. I will sack 4 treasures to have 3 black floating and 1 red. I'll cast the Dargo. Out of the remaining 3 black, I'll cast the Altar of the Wretched. So Altar of the Wretched says that when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a non-token creature you control, and if you do, you draw X and mill X, where X is that creature's power. So Altar of Wretched GTB, I will sacrifice Dargo to draw 7 and mill 7.
So Mons, how do you feel about that misstep on the Ceradak Parasite right now?
I have seen that taking over the game quite often. I feel very happy. I blocked his Tymna.
So I've drawn 7 and I'm milling 7. I'm milling a Enlightened Tutor, a Unwilled Breach, a Mana Crypt, a Soul Petition, a Gamble, a Lineside Diamond, and a Sacred Foundry.
Well, we did get the breach into his graveyard and not in his hand at the very least.
Now, back in Sorcery Speed, I will play Land for turn, Scalding Tarn, which I will crack.
I have a trigger that might matter if you whiff, I guess. Here's a Curse Mirror. That's a Dockside. Let's go.
I'll be finding a Badlands, and then, with this Badlands, I will tap it to cast a Culling the Weak, sacrificing the Dockside. Then I'm using one of black to cast the Reanimate, starting the Dockside. Dockside will come back, I'll lose 2 life and make 5 more treasures, going up to 6. I'll use one of those treasures to cast a Dargo, sacrificing my Dockside. I'll use 2 black remaining to cast a Chthonian Nightmare. So Chthonian Nightmare will enter and give me 3 energy. And what I can do from here is that I will activate Chthonian Nightmare, paying X energy, which X is 2, to reanimate my Dockside, sacrificing my Dargo, putting him in my command zone. Nightmare back in my hand. This will make 5 more treasures, and for 2 of those, I can recast Nightmare and cast Dargo, sacrificing Dockside, and then loop this by, then again, activating Chthonian Nightmare, reanimating Dockside, and sacrificing Dargo. In most decks, you need to have a secondary creature that you loop through the graveyard and cast Chthonian Nightmare twice. With Dargo, you just need to cast Chthonian Nightmare once per loop, so you just need 4 to go infinite, and less creatures. But repeating this loop, I will make infinite energy and infinite treasures. And once I have that, I'll cast Dargo, sacrificing Altar of the Wretched, and then paying 3 to take it back to my hand, and then casting it and repeating that loop to draw my deck, and then killing all the table by casting an Altar of Dementia, milling them out, or a Rakdos the Muscle, and exiling their decks and casting a Thoracle. No one has Thoracle. Any win con I want, or I just pass and kill them. I can win however I want. Good game.
Were you going to win 100% before casting your card draw spell that drew you 7 cards? Or were there a chance you were going to whiff there?
Do you mean the first time or the second time?
The first time, when after me blocking your Tymna, you cast that spell that drew you like a lot of cards.
No, Altar of the Wretched was my win con. I had nothing else in hand. That's the card that wins me the game, and it usually does.
Okay.
Because it's a really strong card.
But is it possible that you could have fizzled there?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But usually you don't.
Yeah, it feels like that deck you have is quite efficient at sculpting together a form of victory. I'm seeing a lot of different variations of how you're usually winning, so to say.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I really like about Mardu. Because if you compare Mardu and Grixis, because those are, in my opinion, 2 of the strongest color combinations you can play, or like...
Except 5 color.
Fundamental color combinations. You have Mardu one and Grixis on the other side. They're both red-black based, but like, yeah. But the difference between Mardu and Grixis is that blue brings a lot of really good cards, like really good cards. But a lot of the good cards they bring aren't actually winning you the game that much. Like counter spells are just dead when you're trying to storm off if you don't need to protect yourself. While Mardu brings you more layered win cons as well as more space for just game-winning cards.
It creates more of a puzzle, I think. Yeah. You're just increasing your different variations of how you could potentially win the game, but your structure of winning the game is a little bit different, considering that you don't have brain freeze or fast ass, kinda.
Yeah, and that's also why I really like this deck, because like this is the only deck I've played for this long and kept finding new ways to win, which I find really fun, which is why I love this deck.
I agree with the whole sentiment as well.
Same.
Like,
I agree.
Blue has the draw engines and white has the silence effects. Both are super strong in their own game plan. But like you said, when you're just going off by yourself, when you're just storming off on your own turn, Grixis just wheeling with extra mana won't always get there. But in Mardu, drawing 7 cards, it's going to get there more.
I find it...
Because of what you said, like counter spells are dead.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. I think counter spells they're not bad, on the other hand. That's not what I want to say. They're definitely not bad. But filling your deck with them is bad. But having a few is good, in the end.
Yeah, we're basically just talking about like payoff density in the deck.
Yeah.
Which becomes inherently lower when you have more responsible card choices in your deck.
Yeah. That's
also why...
I actually took a look at that statistics. I think that the count I found out was that 11 to 12 counterspells is kind of where you want to hit, kinda. More counterspells than that means that you're starting to lose win rate. So it kind of goes up, like the more counterspells up to 12 or 11 or 10, the win rate gets just climbing upwards, and then it starts dropping if you're starting to like have too much.
That's about what I would expect too.
Yeah.
I would expect the count to be slightly lower.
I'm in this situation, Veil of Summer and some other like counterspell variants that are not true
protection.
Yeah, well, not only protection, but like stack control, like Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast were added to this as well, so to say.
That's fair. Yeah, I can agree with 12 then, I guess.
Yeah. So you wouldn't... like, Mindbreak Trap isn't actually a counterspell, but it is a counterspell. Deflecting Sword is also kind of a counterspell, but it's not actually a counterspell. But it's usually used in a counter war.
Yeah, cards that can help you win a counter war. Which Flare of Duplication will also add to that, along with getting you 2 Demonic Tutors. Yeah. If you want.
Yep.
Montes, you mentioned playing it safe when you played Grand Abolisher. What did you mean by that?
No.
You know,
playing it safe was me casting the Mox Amber before combat. I was always bringing Tymna at Mons. But I realized that if Mons blocks, I don't have Abolisher ever. So there's like a discussion there, because Mons kind of blocked because the Grand Abolisher was in play, it sounded like. But if he decides to block before I never get to Abolisher, I have to cast Dockside into Abolisher, which introduces Mindbreak Trap to the game and things like that. So me playing it safe was me casting Mox Amber before combat.
Considering the board state, if you did not cast Grand Abolisher and just attack me with Tymna, I would not have blocked. The only reason I blocked was that maybe there's a chance you will fizzle, and reducing you one card might increase that chance. That was the whole reason for it.
Yeah, but like you can argue that with me just going to combat immediately as well. Like the things Nusky said when I passed after casting Tymna turn 2. I don't know if that was in recording, but he just commented on Pontus kept the turn 2 Tymna pass, and that is kind of sus on the second 7. That's not something I keep on the second 7.
No, that's usually weird. You usually don't cast.
I even called the dark side too, and then decided to play a grinding station for 1 trigger. So that was smart.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see you blocking Tymna there just because I was playing coy and I probably had something that I was going to do after combat anyways.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't have said you were wrong if you were blocking Tymna before either.
If me and Snusky would have sacrificed our artifacts, the grinding station and my treasure, would that have affected your win attempt?
Yes.
Affected, yes.
But you still would have won.
I still get there because I have the burnt offering in hand as well.
Ah, okay. Well, that too, sure.
Yeah, you were missing, like, because that would leave us at 3 for the count for Darkside, which the Chthonian Nightmare loop doesn't work, but then you just get there.
Well, in the end, cEDH games are fast and furious, and it's very hard to actually stop a Grana Boulder these days. And it's kind of hard to control 3 opponents while you're trying to win as fast as possible yourself. I hope you learned something from our mulligans and this post-game discussion. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time next week. Bye!
Bye.